My name is Angela from Freedom Forum Canada News, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Paula Tucci from Stand Up Canada, which is a not-for-profit organization. Thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your time and your experience, Paula. It's a pleasure to have you. Would you just like to briefly explain to our viewers what is Stand Up Canada and what is the purpose?
Yes. So Stand Up Canada is a non-for-profit organization. It's a federally registered one. And our mandate is to educate Canadians to know how their rights are being violated under the COVID measures and how they can use the law to defend those rights. And so we created the website, so we could point people to that direction, because it gets lost on Facebook or social media. You can't keep that information because there's way too much.
There's also censorship.
There's censorship, exactly.
With all these recent mandates imposed on our society, and even the ones that we've had for like the past year, and people have no idea the validity of them. And everyone is really feeling threatened and scared. So could you just explain what mandates actually mean?
Well, so a mandate, they're provincial orders. It's a form of law. They're telling you that you must do something. All these mandated measures. Right? And so what does that actually mean? People are asking, can they do that? Can they do that? And if you just even do your own Google search, and lots of other law firms are saying, well, it looks like it's a violation of your charter rights. And so we created this page back in July, actually last year. We have a great section on the website, which is called, it's a Your Rights page. It's at the top menu. And these are all your legal rights, sort of by subject. But we first started with letting everybody know, whoa, you know what, you better pay attention. These mandates, and so what are some of the mandates that we're talking about? I'm just gonna.
Well, there was a mask mandate, there's the PCR testing, and now the vaccine.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, right, masking, testing, the masks, or I said that, vaccines, restrictions on travel, closure of businesses, those are all violations to your rights as a Canadian. Those rights are guaranteed under the the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. But what's happening, so that's one issue. But with respect to medical treatment, most people don't realize that masks, testing, even hand sanitizer, vaccines, they're all medical treatments, and they require your consent.
Yeah. Are these mandates legal?
So, that's a good question, because there's a difference between legal and lawful, as we're finding out now. Legal just means that they've been written, they've been passed, they're now in law. That's legal. But are they lawful? I would argue that they're not lawful if they're violating your rights, which have already been established in Canada. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just explain just for a little bit when I talk about rights, because everybody is scared. They don't know what their rights are, and that's probably the biggest problem right now in Canada, because we've never had to know our rights before. And so when I talk about rights, there's two different types of rights. There's your provincial rights, and then there's federal rights. And so you have privacy laws. Actually, most people don't know, but your medical information is protected by provincial privacy laws. And your ability to give consent, right, is protected under your provincial healthcare consent laws. Mm-hmm. And so we'll talk about informed consent a little bit later. And then we have federal laws that protect your fundamental rights and freedom in Canada. I mean, it has to start somewhere. And it started in Canada back in 1960 with the Bill of Rights, which was, in fact, Canada's first human rights law. And then in 1982, they introduced the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. So anyway, we've created on the website, under the tab, Your Rights, is a section called Canadian Charter Rights Violations under COVID-19. And it's explained in very simple layman's terms. And there's great examples so people can relate to what this means. Because right now, I think what it is, it's lack of awareness. That's it. And it's not that we're ignorant. We just haven't been told. So maybe it is a form of ignorance. From the beginning, we would say to people, because it dawned on me, I would say to people, I would hold up like a piece of legislation or whatever. I would say, like legislation, meaning this is what's keeping Ontario locked down, is what I started with, which is the Emergency Act. And this is nothing but a piece of paper with black words on it, or black ink. It has no meaning but the meaning you give it. And so then I would take it further and I would say, listen, we have God-given rights here. Everybody does. And our legal rights are supposed to protect our God-given rights. What are those God-given rights? Our right to breathe, our right to work, our right to be with whoever we want, our right to say no to anything we don't want in our body. That's a God-given right.
Yep.
Our right to put anything in our body.
These are basic survival needs that are being diminished right now.
Exactly.
I just have a question, because I do know a lot of people who went and got vaccinated, but what if they got advice from a doctor and then got injured? Or what if they did get kind of forced into it by an employer and then they got injured? Like, what are their rights there? Can they sue?
Well, yeah, to me, they need to go speak to then a criminal lawyer now.
Okay.
A criminal lawyer, you know, because we're talking about assault. So if you're complying, if you're submitting to anything, right, on your body, we're talking about your body. Okay, let's just go right back to sexual assault. Somebody breaks in your home and they are going to threaten you, they're going to assault you, and you're submitting. I mean, you can't stop it, but you're still, your body is still submitting. You've been assaulted. So that's assault. People, you know, we have to like wake up. It's a level of assault that's been happening. People have consented to put the mask on without realizing that they could have said, no, I do not consent. But they did, because they didn't know that masks were a medical treatment. You know, they're telling people to put a face covering on, like a cloth. They're just breathing barriers. But they qualified it saying that it will stop the spread of a disease. That's why it's a medical treatment. And it really is the question people need to ask themselves and answer. Who owns you? Who owns your body? You or the state? Right?
Yep.
And so think about that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of information. I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Crusaders of the Resistance. And thank you so much, Paula. I hope you have a beautiful day. God bless.
You too, Angela. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.